Hello and welcome to the Wifey Vibe podcast. So, I'm trying something new moving forward. I'm going to only do these on YouTube. I don't know, I have no real rhyme or reason to it. I just feel like I want to put these on YouTube and not on a podcast platform at the moment, just to see how it performs and if it gets any more coverage or exposure, I guess you would say. So you're gonna have to look at my face if you want to listen to this podcast from now on. Welcome. It is November the 3rd of 2025. Any of my Toronto people, the Blue Jays sadly lost on Saturday. That was a heartbreak and a half, let me tell you. Um, the funniest part is after the game, we were I have a group chat of Toronto people that are into Tony Robbins or have been to events. We all have this group chat on WhatsApp, and one of us apparently saw Tony Robbins at the stadium, and he was cheering his giant butt off. And yeah, I'm happy for him, but also we're on a timeout because Los Angeles Dodgers won. It was such a good series. Holy shit. And the loss was such a it was just a loss is a loss. I get it, but this one was just so lame. It was such a lame. It would have been great if it was reverse, of course, but I digress. It was not. Anyway, so welcome to the show. I'm gonna talk about something kind of weird that I mean, you might be surprised to hear me talk about it, not totally sure. But it is kind of like around soft girl era stuff, which if you know me, you know that I am currently really diving deep into that area for myself. And so kind of before I get into that, I'll tell you what I have a definition on my phone actually. You can't see it. It's very bright. I know. But I'll read it. So, what is soft girl era? Soft girl era is a period of leading into slow living, self care, and mindful simplicity, prioritizing connection with nature, low intensity movement, and gentle self compassion, stepping away from societal pressures, hustle culture, and perfectionism to cultivate inner peace, balance, and well being. So, to me, I love that. And I do love that definition. I actually just recently changed my lock screen to have that on it. But for me, soft girl era is more than really just that piece. It's about not stressing to the level that I had been stressing about and not burning myself out and doing all the things. Also, I just want to take a second to acknowledge something here. Um, I'm on bioidentical hormones. I'm perimenopausal, which I've spoken very openly about over the course of my podcast. I just need you to look at my hair. Like this has not been my experience for several years. And now that I'm on hormones, I think that's a huge piece of, I mean, I know it is, of why my hair is looking the way it's shiny, it's thicker, it's just much better. So if you are on the fence around hormone replacement therapy, get off the fucking fence and get into your doctor's office. We were sold a lot of bullshit about why they were bad from the 80s, and it's just not the case. So it actually lowers your risk of heart attack, stroke, also cancers. There's a balance and you have to do it properly. And they say that the sooner into menopause you start, the better. And I'm currently like perimenopausal, and that's really the best time to start. So, but talk to your doctor. Honestly, I was a chicken for a long, long time because of what my mom heard when I was a kid. And I'm really happy that I've educated myself. Dr. Mary Claire is like one of the most renowned experts on that subject. So go and follow her on Instagram. Anyway, so soft girl era is just a space where like heard me talk about masculine and feminine energy forever, and I still that sort of ties into this. The masculine energy is what we call now Bob base or Bob base. Holy shit, boss babe. That's another symptom of perimenopause, just totally making up words like nobody's business. But anyway, so the boss babe era is really is disguised as masculine energy. And there's this hustle culture, especially for women, that tells you if you're not hustling super hard, then you're useless, you're no good to anybody. And then on the flip side of that, if you're living this soft girl era, more what they're calling a trad wife, traditional wife, or life, that you're useless on that side because that's oppression and nobody wants to really do that. And there's just so much bullshit. So, like, my take on it is follow your body. Like, really truly follow your body. Now, I happen to be in a position where my basic needs are okay right now. Like, I'm not having to stress about my basic, like, food, rent, basically that. But the lifestyle that I want is way bigger than that. And here's the difference between what I used to think or feel was necessary and what I'm here thinking and feeling now. I don't want to be the one to build an empire. I don't want to be the one to, like, work myself to death. I don't want boss babe mindset anymore. I don't have that anymore. Now, do I have to get into certain gears when I want to get shit done? 100%. But I'm definitely, and ladies who are listening, I'm asking you, please be honest with yourself. Like, and I know that we do not want to work as hard as we're working. Even if we say, I love my job, I love my business. Yeah, okay, great. I appreciate that. But it's that necessity piece that makes it almost intolerable, especially when you get over 45. Like, if you've worked your whole life and you're still working like a boss babe, quote unquote, at 45, it's killing you. Like, I'm just going to tell you straight. It's not healthy. And I would say, I mean, every single woman I've ever talked to, when we get to it and we get honest, they're saying the same thing. They're like, I'm fucking tired. I'm exhausted. I have no stamina left for anybody. Like, nothing feels in flow. Everything feels really hard. And so I'm not here for that anymore. I'm soon to be divorced, hopefully in the next few months. It's quote unquote complicated, only because we all live together in the house and we're really helping our daughter with her son. But for all intents and purposes, we are both single people, my ex-husband and I. But and I'm very clear on what kind of life I want after I move out of here and after, things are finalized. And it's definitely not going to be boss babe. It's definitely going to be soft girl. And when I say soft girl, it doesn't mean I'm not making my own money. It means that I'm not making my own money or I'm going to be on the streets. Like, there's a and I get it. Like, and don't come for me with the, I have to. I understand that. I was there too. I am there right now. I mean, kind of, right? But there's a difference just energetically when you just surrender to the fact that you don't want to be this, like, hard ass, work constantly, fast, you know, boss babe. There's, like, freedom to saying, like, holy shit, I'm tired. Like, I don't want to do that anymore. Um, and so to that, and this is why I said it's gonna be a bit of a weird podcast, or I guess YouTube podcast, whatever. What are they calling it? I have no idea. Is so if you know me personally, then you know kind of my story. And if you don't know me personally, I've been sharing a little bit of it here and there. So I was working with a plastic surgeon in Toronto, and a friend of ours, well, a friend of mine, hooked me up with his girlfriend to basically come on as a fractional business development director. And it was like a really exciting opportunity, but I definitely met it in the beginning with a lot of judgment, because plastic surgery is something I've never really, personally, it's something I've never dealt with. My mom did when she had breast cancer, and they replaced one of her breasts that they removed. But outside of that, I just had a very judgmental view of it based on, like, Real Housewives of Beverly Hills and all those shows and everything. I was like, plastic surgery is a bunch of assholes. I don't want to be a part of it. They're just trying to tell women they don't feel good, and why can't we just feel good and not need it? And I had kind of the typical mindset around it. And so when I was first shared this opportunity with, I was like, I don't know, it doesn't feel right. And then I talked to her, it's a woman, and it's not hard to figure out who it is if you just look back at my shit, but I'm not here to talk shit about anybody. But when I met her, I was like, oh, this is like actually, she's very heart centered when it comes to her patients. This is really cool. And so I really kind of dropped my own biases and judgments and just let it unfold how it unfolded. And it turns out it was a beautiful, beautiful practice for her patients. And there's a lot of heart, and a lot of my judgments just kind of were like bullshit. And so I started talking to patients, and what I started to notice that women who, in particular, were moms, were coming in for mommy makeovers and labiaplasties and skin removal after weight loss. And those are sort of the three categories where I was like, oh, okay. So it's not just like 20-year-olds bopping in here thinking there's something terribly wrong with their bodies and they need gigantic breasts and gigantic fake bums and, all the things. It's not that at all. It's actually just women who have, had babies. And I've had three children who have lived and one who I birthed and he passed. So I've been pregnant four times. I've had four milks come in. I've had four stomach stretches. I've had four people go through my vagina. And when I started to understand and see the type of woman that was coming into the practice, I was like, holy shit, that's me. I get it. Now, for me personally, no, I'm never gonna, I mean, never say never, but my big thing is I hate being put under general anesthetic. And so that's why I would never do it. If there's some other way to get it done, 1000% I would get a breast lift and a tummy tuck. Like, no question about it. Why? Not because out there insults me and out there makes me feel bad, but because when I look at my body, it's foreign to me. Even, and now for me, it's a whole different story because of the thyroid and all that. And my body is way bigger than it really should be based on what I consume and do. But let's say that, I did all the work and there's still the apron and it's uncomfortable, or there's still the saggy boobs, right? Like, I will always preface this conversation by saying, do I wish that we didn't care so much about our bodies and sizes and all that shit? Of course, but we do, right? And like me not doing what I'm about to explain in a second, me or people not doing plastic surgery is not the answer. Like that's just the reality. There's a way deeper systemic issue that isn't going to be sorted by one or two people, for lack of a better way to put it, saying, oh, you shouldn't do that. You should love your body no matter what. So if women are still going to do this regardless, which they are, wouldn't it be great if we found doctors who actually gave a shit? And that's really what this next piece is about. And so what I learned about the industry, first of all, that I was pretty wrong about, and of course, like, don't get me wrong, the doctors out there that are like, I've seen them on videos being like, oh, you have too much fat here and like, just all that shit. No, like fuck right off. Like don't, there's no world where a man's going to tell me I have too much fat here and my tits are like this or whatever. Like, to be honest, no. But if I'm coming in and I'm saying, listen, I'm done having children, I've loved the experience, but I really miss my breasts being up here, or I really, I've worked out, I've done all the work, but my tummy, there's still this little problem area that I would love a tummy tuck for and a lot of times, PS, the abdominal muscle wall is fucked. And so that's another big piece of it. Working out and diet's not going to fix your abdominal wall. And then labiaplasty, like it can be uncomfortable down there after you've had a bunch of kids. Even if you've not had any kids, like there's definitely scenarios where it's uncomfortable, just your anatomy. And so all of these things to say, when you see a practice or doctor who's actually has conversations with their patients and makes them feel comfortable and isn't putting down, certain parts of their body in the name of making more money, that's inspiring. The other piece of it was, so I saw a lot of these moms and they were like me, man. Like they just, I'm done having kids. I really want to do this for myself. I feel more comfortable if my, you know, this part was back where it began, all that kind of thing. So The second piece that I actually find even more interesting about this whole industry was the skin removal. Now, we live in a society that is, I mean, yeah, I think it is predominantly overweight and obese, and there's a lot of support around losing weight, right? Whether you do it diet exercise, whether you're using, the shots that help with weight loss, whether you're doing a combination, whatever the case is, a lot of people are ditching a ton of weight. Now, again, another preface, like if you're somebody who is doing a the shots, for example, and you're not changing why you got to the size you got to, you're just going to bounce right back. And I've seen it. You're going to go right back to where you were at. I think even with diet and exercise, any form of lifestyle change has to be actually a lifestyle change, and it has to be something where you're like, okay, so if I emotionally ate to get myself to 200 or 300 pounds, now this is if it's not medical, then this is what I'm talking about. But it can become medical, right? Like you can develop severe hormone and diabetes, obviously. But anyway, so if why you got to that size isn't addressed, you can have gastric bypass surgeries, you can have a sleeve, you can have all the things, the shots, everything, all the things. If you haven't addressed the core reason as to why that happened, it's a waste of time, money, and everything. So there's no point in doing any of it. But let's say, and I did meet a patient like this, she was 65 and she had gone on the shot and she lost 80 pounds. And she said in that chair to me, she goes, but I had to change what I was doing because if I didn't change it, it was all going to come back anyway. So in the meantime, and that's what I love. I love that honesty of like, yeah, this can help me, but if I'm not changing like ultimately why I got to the size to begin with, it's futile and it's a waste of everybody's energy. But when I saw her skin, the loose skin that she had gotten from the weight loss removed, holy shit. And the thing that's so interesting to me about it was like, yeah, it looked amazing. But what happened to her husband, who was in the waiting room, and I had a conversation with him, that was the piece that really made me change my beliefs again. And this is the thing, like, ladies, we have to always be willing to change our beliefs that don't serve us. It didn't serve me to be so judgmental about all of this. Like, I'm not on the camp of like, it's your body, do whatever you want, makes you feel better. I'm on the camp of like, have you thought it through? Do we know where this is coming from? Is this a fundamental thing inside you that you hate yourself? If that's the case, absolutely not. You need help. If this is I worked my ass off and this is a couple of things that I want to, yeah, like I don't, and it's not judgment either way, but it's like I can get behind it differently if I know the woman has done the work and like it's coming from a place of like getting my hair done, like not, anywho. So I was in the waiting room and I talked to her husband and he's like in his 60s and he said, this is the happiest I've seen her in decades. She's like herself again. And I was like, holy shit. And I cried because I see what that feels like for him, never mind her, but for him. And so long story short, I spent a few months there. And if you've followed me at all, you know my vibe. I do a lot of Tony Robbins stuff. I just went to UPW with my daughter. It was amazing, my 16-year-old. So all the kids have gone now, and that makes me so happy. And so I'm very growth minded. I'm very like growth, loving, connection, contribution, all those needs I really focus on meeting because that's just my mindset. My mindset's always like, what can we look at? Where's the gift in this? Life is happening for me, not to me. Those are my mantras. Those are my family's mantras. Those are my children. Like we all think that way. So I start to try to implement some new things into this practice, and I'm getting a lot of resistance and a lot of negativity, and it's starting to wear on me a little bit. But I'm still pushing through because I'm really excited, and I know I can really increase this practice's bottom line and just be more aligned and have a really strong culture and team and all the things that I was brought in to do. So fast forward, I go to UPW, like I just mentioned, which was October 9th to the 12th. And I come home on the 13th and I get a text the next day, a text, not an email, firing me from this clinic because of my mindset. Yeah. I that was a new one. Never been, released from a contract abruptly because of my mindset. And so that was a bit, I mean, it was a shock, but it wasn't because even when I was at UPW, I actually started to talk to a friend of mine and I said, listen, like, here's where I'm at, but she's really negative and it's really getting to me. I'm going to probably give her another 30 days and start looking for something else because everything like Tony calls it your reticular activating system, or he refers to your reticular activating system, which basically states that if you want are primed to look for negative, you're going to find negative everywhere you go. If you're primed to find positive, you're going to find positive everywhere you go. Well, this woman was primed for negative, so everything was always with a negative slant. There was and very very pessimistic. So in the end, it's a blessing, of course, and I've never felt more like it's a blessing than I do now. I know God moved her out of my way for a reason, and I feel like I know that reason, but it hasn't fully come to fruition. So I'm working through a bunch of you know pieces of it. At my time there, though, I was asked to develop a medical tourism piece because it's a thing. And even I was at Business Mastery in August and I was talking to some of the Platt ladies that I know, and I was talking about where I was at, and they're like, "Oh, it's that much money? Like it's like to get a tummy tuck or a mommy makeover or skin removal, it's way less money in Canada. Plus, you have the dollar, and our dollar stinks, which is good for the US. So if you're American and you come to Canada to do your surgery, whatever that is, the price is you're going to spend way less money." And so it got me thinking, um, because I was trying to push this, I had a 3 month plan on how we were going to execute it and get insurance and market it and do all the things. And it just got kiboshed in the name of whatever. And so I did all this work, I did all the strategy, I did all this research and connections. And so I thought, you know what? Yeah, I'm taking my strategy and I'm going to work with other physicians or other plastic surgeons. It's my strategy. I created. And like when I say my strategy, I mean, I've got 25 years of marketing and sales behind me. Like it's just how my brain works, right? And so where that's led me now is so I have this passion now to help moms who are looking to get mommy makeovers connect with heart-centered surgeons here in Canada and women who have done, and guys too, but women, obviously women are more proactive in this way, but women who have done the work and have lost all this weight in whatever way they've lost it, who are looking to get the skin taken off. And I think that one's probably even more like tear inducing for me because I can't imagine like losing all this weight and then having like 40 or 50 pounds worth of skin hanging on your body. Like how uncomfortable would that be? It'd be awful. And so what I kind of came to is how am I going to support both of these things? Like I'm really good in sales. I love to market. I love to do all of that. So essentially what it looks like is I'm going to continue doing what I was doing for this other plastic surgeon, just not for her. And connect women from the US to Canada who want to come here and have these two things that I would be the most comfortable talking about. Um, because I'm not really connected with other things. Like I'm not connected with some of the other procedures. I'm very connected to those two. Those two feel very aligned for me. They don't feel like I can't talk about them. I feel comfortable and excited to talk because again, I've met these women and I know the impact it has on their lives. And so it's going to be a consultancy. It's not, and this is back to what I was talking about in the beginning. This is, and I want you to think about this, like how can you do something and still remain soft and not go balls to the wall, burn yourself out, freak out. And that's really like how I'm viewing this. I almost didn't build a website, but of course I did for this. And I'm not even sure what I'm calling it. Like, I don't, it's not going to be some big business I talk about. I mean, I'm talking like I'm going to find 10 doctors in Canada, maybe a couple in Turkey, because Turkey's another hot spot for this because they just do shit well out there. And so I'm just gonna kind of quietly behind the scenes. So if you're a doctor, plastic surgeon, and you want to connect with me, please like reach out. I'm only going to have probably, let's say, 10 or 15 doctors that I refer patients to. And then I'm going to just continue networking the way that I always do. I'm going to talk to my, Tony Robbins family and see if there's any moms because this is a cost, right? It's not free. It's not covered. I think the skin removal, there might be some coverage there, but I'm not positive. So either way, it feels aligned for me. And it's funny because so essentially it's going to be like a luxury cosmetic concierge. So I've got a woman who's like, I'm ready to do this. And I've got a doctor who's like, I'm full of love and I'm very heart centered, and let's match them together. And that's basically all I'm going to be doing, matching those two people together. And it's funny, I did a post on Facebook. Go check it out. If I'll link it into the show notes here. But and a really good friend of mine, one of my oldest friends, whose birthday is one day after mine, she commented about, sepsis, and she's a paramedic, so she's like right away sees the scariest shit ever. And she was talking about Botox and all these other things, and it's like that's not to me. That's not what this is. To me, this is really about putting making me as a woman or making you as a woman feel how you did before childbearing years and how you did, and then the second piece is the reward after you've done all this work to lose all this weight. Like that's something impressive. And so I'm not, I don't do anything. I get facials and I wash my face, and maybe someday I'll get something. I don't know. Who knows? But I know that my views on this whole thing have been dramatically shifted just because I've spoken to women who've done that, these two particular types of surgeries, the mommy makeover and the skin removal. And I'm happy to support them. And I know there's probably people who are like, oh, yeah, but blah, blah, blah. Why can't we just, well, we can't. That's a longer, much longer shift. That's like trying to shift the Titanic. So where I'm looking, it's like a tugboat. And if I can send that tugboat to someplace safe and someplace that's not going to treat them like a number and someplace that's going to actually value who that woman is and what she's gone through and have deep conversations. And by the way, if the doctor is also at a point where they're like, no, I'm not doing this. You're not a good candidate. I love that too. So stick around. I mean, I think one of the things that I really want to do is get women on here who have done a mommy makeover. I know a few of them, and just have their convert because whenever I was interviewing old patients of this particular doctor, and the consensus was, I'm so happy I did this. I feel so incredible in my body. Like there's something to be said for that. That's amazing. And so I definitely want to get some mommies who've done mommy makeovers on the show. And then for sure, women who've lost a shit ton of weight, who've had that surgery and want to talk about it. And, you know, so if you know of any of those and you want to put them up to come on the show, let me know. Anyway, that's it for me. So, keep on keeping on. And we'll see how this YouTube channel goes versus the podcast piece, and I'll just keep you updated. But if you want any info, it's so new. I don't even fully know. I'm kind of just sending my resume out to people and seeing if there's a partnership opportunity for them and me. Now, I will say one thing, extremely particular about who I'm going to work with and who I'm going to send patients to, because that's the only way this is going to work for me. One of the best gifts I've ever had from Tony Robbins is crew. And one thing you learn in crew constantly is always do things at the very highest level. And that's how this is going to be. So, if there's a doctor and I just get kind of like a whiff of they're going to tell the patient they're not good enough in some way, then there's absolutely no way that I would send patients to that doctor. So for me, it's really important that I'm aligned with that doctor. They're coachable because there's going to be coaching. There's a couple ways I can help a doctor with their sales and marketing in general. And so they have to be coachable. They can't be like, yeah, I know everything. Everything's perfect, blah, blah, blah. If they are, great. They're going to get a check mark. But so it's not just a random group of doctors and I'm going to file people over to them. Absolutely not. These are going to be highly vetted and really like at the top of their game, but not just clinically. in their hearts as well. So if you know any of them, let me know and I will see you guys on the next one. Have a great day. Bye.